everybody, welcome back to Reviewing the Nerds. I'm Vincent.
And I'm Mike. And today we're reviewing Terminator Genisys.
Alright everybody, so this is the 5th installment into the Terminator franchise. We are once again back, Arnold's back and doing his thing, and we have a lot to say.
I had a huge passion for these films as a child. Like, honestly, the Terminator, I think, was one of the first films I ever saw that really broadened my imagination, and it was one of the things that really got me into films. It was a huge deal for me. So this series is precious to me, and coming into this film, I carry a lot of weight with me, a lot of nostalgia, and I have a lot of opinions about it. But Vincent is first going to get into the plot summary, if you can call... I mean, basically, to sum up, picture Terminator 1 and 2, remove all of the high quality, and that's the story for this one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really accurate. So here's the plot synopsis for the movie. It basically kind of starts off where Terminator 1 happens. Kyle Reese, a soldier of the future war between man and machines, is sent back in time by John Connor, the leader of the human resistance, who is the son of Sarah Connor. The machine sent back a Terminator to find Sarah Connor and kill her before she can be impregnated and give birth to John. Kyle Reese is sent back. We, of course, know at this point from the previous films that Kyle Reese is actually John's father, and that he needs to go back in time so John can be born. But, however, things are very different. Kyle Reese gets back there, and Sarah Connor already knows everything. She's not some young, sweet, vulnerable woman. She's actually ready to go with guns and tough and badass and all that stuff. And we find out that Kyle Reese, he's met back there by other Terminators. In fact, Arnold's already there, except he's a little older, because we find out that apparently the machines, or somebody, it's never made really clear, somebody sent back Terminators to try to kill Sarah when she was just 9 years old, and somebody sent back the Arnold Schwarzenegger model, the T-800, and she was raised for the next half of her life, for like 10 years, by the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator. They never explained who the hell sends the Arnold Terminator back in time to protect her. It's never revealed. Not even he knows. It was like erased from his databanks or something. Like, he just knows he was sent back to protect her. There's a lot of unanswered questions here. And that bugs me a ton. There's like, I mean, even by the end of the movie, there's still a lot of things they do not answer or they do not explain, which is apparently, I mean, the only thing that makes sense is that, like, they're leaving these answers to be brought to light in a sequel.
Well, there's a stinger at the end of this movie.
And Kyle Reese is all messed up. He doesn't understand what's going on. And then they find out that there's even more going on, because apparently John Connor, and this is not really big of a spoiler because they were showed in the trailers, John Connor has been converted into some new hyper-advanced Terminator, more advanced than the T-1000, or even more advanced than the T-X from Terminator 3.
Say it so!
It happened. Yeah, so there's more we could get into, and we're kind of getting into some stuff, but I don't want to like go on too much because they really use time travel far more in this than they ever have any of the previous films. Usually it's just setbacks. One person goes back to kill Sarah, or one person goes back to protect her, or John. But like there's so much timeline scrambling by use of the time travel devices that
I like how Sarah Connor does this in the movie too. She's like, picture a straight line and never look back. What straight line? The line in this is... There is no straight line in this movie.
Yeah, it's some kind of metaphor. But anyway, let's get into it. So, all right.
Oh, and also, the plot of T2 basically is, Scott stops Judgment Day again, blah, 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 blah. We've seen it all before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of callbacks to the previous films, especially the first and the second one, because those are the two most popular of the franchise.
So, here's the thing, though, okay?
Okay.
Is that there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It seems like whoever made this movie, they got a little confused and they think to themselves, if it ain't broke, make sure it gets broken up so we can rebuild it with shit. Because, like, basically they take iconic moments from our childhood, and by the way, there's like 2 reviews, it feels like, we almost have to do this first, because we're talking to the purists, but we're also talking to people who may have never seen the Terminator movies before. Now, to the purists out there, they bastardize so many iconic elements from the original films. Everything from the fucking first Terminator that was so badass to, you know, the Kyle Reese, who Jay Courtney just butchers. He is no fucking Michael Biehn. All the subtleties to that performance of Michael Biehn, the tragic hero that is, you know, conflicted and doesn't know what to do. This guy is just your typical fucking one-dimensional action hero figure. I just felt like every element that I loved about the first films was bastardized, and then the things they present us with, because it's one thing if you try to wipe the slate clean, right? But the new slate they give us is just a retread of everything we've already seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, I mean, basically, they so much has changed. Like I said, from the time travel elements. I mean, like it's like when you remember like in the new Star Trek movie franchise where they use time travel to reset history so they can have different adventures, but still bump into the same assholes. It's like this, but there's so much going on.
If your intention is to go in and retread the same story, it seems like your goal should be to try to equal the quality of the original or improve upon it. But they replaced it with fucking a lack of character development and of genuine drama. There's so many elements in this that they could have played up more and made it more dramatic or made the characters more interesting. You completely erased Linda Hamilton and Sarah Connor's character development from the first two films. When we meet her in the movie, she's already the warrior. You miss out on that foundation.
She is a warrior, but she's not the same way that she is in Terminator 2, where she's super obsessive and untrusting of people and just has a general hatred of humanity. Emilia Clarke's take on she's a badass, she's tough, but she's really just angry at the fact that her whole life is basically planned out for her. It's a different take. She's still tough, she's still badass, and I like the choice of Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor, because just like Linda Hamilton in the first film, she doesn't look like somebody that would be a soldier or a warrior. She just looks like an attractive young woman who's like who's young, trying to get through life, and so Emilia Clarke kind of fits that look.
Well, to give props to Linda Hamilton in T2, though, she got fucking buff.
Oh, and she did, yeah.
T2 Linda Hamilton would beat the fuck out of Sarah Connor in this movie. But I also do want to say Emilia Clarke, I agree. She is the one beacon acting performance-wise in this movie that actually works. She works. Everything around her doesn't.
The relationship between Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese, as we know from the previous films, they fall in love. They make love, and then John is conceived. Sarah already knows this. Kyle finds out eventually, of course. I believe them becoming friends. I do not believe them becoming.
They had that speech at the end though, where she's saying he was. They definitely implied that he's in love with her, and then she knows it and all this shit. Because she was talking about everyone that loves me dies, and he's like, not everybody.
Kyle Reese loves her because he's supposed to love her. You kind of know that even from the first film.
Except it's so not believable in this movie. Like Jay Courtney did not sell that to me. Like in the first movie, you really got the sense of the weight of responsibility that Michael Biehn felt, and knowing that he loves this woman, but that he can't have her because in his mind he's not the father. He has to preserve her so that she can meet this guy. And it's so well handled. And Michael Biehn, man, he just delivered that tortured soul thing so well. Jay Courtney, such a surface level performer in this.
Yeah, like I said, you really don't like Jay Courtney. As Kyle Reese,
there's no subtlety to that performance. There's no layers.
I mean, his acting skills aren't bad, but I don't feel like he may be that invested in a character that I should be. I mean, hell, they should have just gotten Anton Yelchin from Terminator Salvation to come back. I mean, he's a few years older now. If Anton Yelchin puts on some muscle, he could kind of look like Michael Biehn back in the day. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they chose him. But I mean, the events of this movie totally ignores Terminator Salvation from what we can tell based on certain continuities.
And that's another thing about this also, is that this movie, the whole point of blowing apart the original timeline is that they wanted to restart because, everyone felt that the Terminator series was going downhill. But you've replaced it with something worse. Terminator Salvation, there's a review I read on Forbes. They said that Terminator Genisys makes T3 and Terminator Salvation look like T2. I'll agree with that, man. They're much better in this movie. I mean, there's things going on in those movies that aren't that bad. Like Terminator 3, okay? Say what you want about it. But there was some depth in that finale. The idea of the inevitability of it all. That humanity, one way or another, is always going to lead itself to its own destruction. And Terminator Salvation, there's some cool stuff in there too. I mean, there's a lot of fan service moments, like seeing how the characters come together and how everything begins, how the first Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, comes into being.
Yeah.
Those were some fan service moments. Now, we were talking about fan service moments after we saw the movie. Who did they make this movie for? Because I'm pretty sure that no fan was begging them to make a movie where they completely blow apart the iconic Terminator from the first movie in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on! Who wants to see that? Alright, you can argue in Jurassic World, you want to see a T-Rex beat the fuck out of the main dinosaur in that? Fine, I understand, it's a fan service moment. Who are you serving here? Nobody. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, but at least it's the only incarnation of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator that's the evil one. At least they're at least taking out the evil one. If he like took out the Terminator from T2, that would have pissed me off. But at least in this one, he's like taking out the bad one. I mean,
if it was like going back in time where like Mega Godzilla killed the original Godzilla, how would you feel? Boom. Got him. He's a big Godzilla fan. I mean, if you watch our other Godzilla review,
don't pull my strings, Michael. Don't pull my radioactive lizard strings. If
you're gonna time travel back and fuck up with the timeline, time travel back to right after T2. Don't erase James Cameron's masterpieces. Like, cause I'm sorry, Alan Taylor, the director of this movie who did Thor 2. James Cameron, you are not.
Ouch. Well, here's the thing. I think he doesn't try to make it a copy of a James Cameron film.
But no, that's the thing. Though. It's like the movie wants to exist on its own feet, but at the same time, it keeps drawing on the nostalgia factor of the original two films. It keeps depending and leaning on those first two films, and to the point where it's like, why are you even bothering trying to do this?
I don't know.
Much less getting some textual and getting under the surface and really building characters from the ground up. And that also helps when you're a writer-director like James Cameron, because he wrote these characters and he got to direct them, so he knew these guys inside out. And he got such great performances and such complexity out of his actors. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger in T2, I mean, to make a machine who was the villain in the first film likable, it's something that was so impressive. And this movie relies so much on such surface-level stuff to make you care for these characters.
Yeah, I really don't know what to say about him. I mean, he's the one who directed Thor: The Dark World, and between these two films, I can guess I have a feel for his style.
Though Thor: The Dark World was so much better than this.
Yeah, no, Thor: The Dark World was like very entertaining. It was fun. It showed where the characters have been up to, the next step in their lives, and stuff like that. So I don't think he's a bad director. I think it maybe was just a bad choice for Terminator.
Well, that's another question too, though. So you have to wonder, like, whose fault was it really? Because, like, I mean, maybe the producers or the studio, whoever put together the writing team, and maybe he was under constraints, maybe they were pushing him in certain directions, but just based on what we saw, it just looked like there was such a mishandling of the material.
Well, let's talk about Jason Clarke, who plays John Connor in this film. Jason Clarke, he's been in a few other movies. He was in Lawless, he was in Zero Dark 30.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, he's on the recent Planet of the Apes film. He's a good actor, and in this movie, he does a decent enough job. So here, like I said earlier, this is the weird part of the film where John Connor is the villain. We found out that Skynet has somehow converted him into a new super advanced Terminator, and there's like no going back. He's been reconstructed on the cellular level. His matter is fused with metal and machinery or whatnot. He's like more powerful than any of the other previous Terminators before him. He gives a good enough performance, but they miss such an incredible opportunity with his character. So here we have John Connor. And no matter what Terminator film you have, whether he's been born yet or not, whether he's in the movie, a small part of the movie, whatever, he is always brought up as the savior of humanity, the man that leaves all of humanity to win the war against the machines. He's a very pivotal character in the Terminator mythos.
I think it's arguable that he is perhaps the real main character of the whole series.
Yeah. And in this one, we have him become the villain because the machines have converted him. They've altered him mind and body, which could have been a cool idea. Unfortunately, it was spoiled for two reasons. One, they spoiled it in the trailer. In one of the trailers for the movie, they show you flat out that John Connor becomes a bad guy. I'm like, when I saw that, it pissed me off just as much with Terminator Salvation when they showed that Sam Worthington was a Terminator. Like, why would you not save that for the movie? That could have been an incredible, like, surprise, plot twist, and just this incredible thing. But no, they don't. They just throw it right out there.
Well, you have a second point, but let me just comment on that point real quick.
Go for it.
Honestly, from my perspective, if they didn't warn me about that ahead of time, and if I was sitting in the movie and I saw that happen, I might have just clocked out. I've been like, fuck this movie. Like, so I went into this movie knowing that was going to happen, so I was able to mentally prepare myself for them bastardizing John Connor, so I was able to deal with it. All right, what's your second point?
All right, second point is that it could have worked if the movie properly conveyed the dread, depression, anguish, and agony with Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese seeing this man, this person that they love, as their family, this person that they know isn't vital to the entire human race in the future, become a monster. But in the very next scene, they're just arguing, like, Kyle Reese is just like, we gotta turn him back. Sarah's like, it's too late. He's not my son anymore. We gotta kill him. It's just like, have a moment where the two of you are just like, you have no words. You're just devastated. I mean, they've all been going through a lot of stuff in the past couple of days, and
well,
it's just such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's what I was going to use. I was going to say, all right, for one thing, I'm against it in general. Like, in general, I understand that it could work in a sense. I think if this movie existed completely independently of the original movies, and you didn't have all that history to lay on John Connor, it could have worked. But since you have all the history, you don't want to see that happen to John Connor. Who are they making this movie for? Are they making this for fans or what? Anyways, though, but even looking at this, it's a real missed opportunity, even if you're going to do this, because there's a dramatic opportunity here. And not just with how Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese are responding to him, but also the internal struggle within himself. Because there's a moment where you get a little hint when he's talking, like at one point, Kyle Reese is begging him to come back, like, come on, you could fight this. And it's like he can't stop himself, but there's a moment where you see in his eyes, like you see just a little hint of some pain. Like there's some tears in his eyes, as though he just can't stop himself. And they also explore a little bit where he's kind of saying things like, I'd like you two to join me and stuff like that. Now, suddenly that all ends at one point, and he's just full-blown villain. And there's nothing redeeming or anything of John in that thing at all at the end. And you got a real opportunity there where you could have had a struggle. Now, I'm not saying, I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying I wanted to pull a Darth Vader 180. Okay, where he's like, no, I will become a good guy again, I will save the world. No, I just simply want there to be a struggle, because that makes that Frankenstein shit that they did to him more dramatic.
Yeah.
It's more dramatic if inside he's still in there.
Yeah.
And you sense that he's still in there, but they never gave you the impression he was still in there.
Show the hurt on the side of our heroes who are his parents, and then show, the struggle within him. Because it's John Connor, for crying out loud. For Christ's sakes, it's him. It's the savior. But yeah. It's such, if they had developed that aspect more, had 5 more minutes onto the film to take time for them to show them going through that, it could have helped the film dramatically. It could have totally boosted it. And I could totally say, just for this factor, they did it so well, I would recommend going to go see the movie. However, they don't. I mean, to me, that's the biggest missed opportunity of the film. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, they kind of play up more this aspect of Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and the Terminator being a family or getting along, because the Terminator raised Sarah, and Kyle and the Terminator are always at odds because
which I didn't feel that whole thing, that triangle was very effective.
I mean, they have a couple of moments where they look like they're kind of getting along towards the end, which is good. You want to see them come together, because Kyle just sees him as a killing machine. He's like, I don't care if he raised you, he's gonna fucking turn on us any moment.
Like, if they did one more draft of the script that just fleshed out John Connor a little bit more, he could have fucking really.
Yeah. I mean, his portrayal of John Connor before he's converted into a Terminator is like, he's a strong, confident man, but also he's very likable. He doesn't show his lighter side to many people. It's just a Kyle, and you see that bond between them. Once again, he could have. I mean, if he could have gone so much better with his character. I mean,
if James Cameron did this, Jason Clarke did the very best he could with what they allowed him to do.
Yeah.
And really, the fault, you really got to blame the writer and director for a lot of this shit, because there really was stuff they could have done with John Connor, and they didn't.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish off with Arnold.
Pops.
Yeah, Pops. Sarah calls him Pops in the movie. I mean, he's just doing his thing. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger being the Terminator, not really showing emotion. He has these funny moments in the film where Sarah explains, she's been, over the past decade, she's been trying to teach him to act more natural and stuff. So he has these moments in the movie where he just kind of he smiles because he thinks that's the right moment to do it. And it's this big, cheesy, almost creepy smile. It's funny to see the Terminator try to smile like that, but at the same time, it's out of character, even though technically this is the 3rd or 4th incarnation of that model in the series. 5th.
I felt that out of all the incarnations that he was the weakest one. I think that this one had a couple unique things about him. Of course, the fact that he was a lot older than all the other Terminators, and you can even see it's all that he's old. His hand stops working at one point. So that made him slightly unique, but at the same time, his presence was so weaker than in the first two films, especially. When you get down to he's a machine, he can learn human behavior, but he can't really, truly feel emotion. And yet in this movie, there's a moment where he's looking so proudly at Sarah, and he's like, "Take care of my Sarah." It's like I don't buy that. Okay, he's a machine. He can't genuinely love. Okay.
Well, no, you can't. Well, based on the events of Terminator 2, you could kind of say that because they say at the end of the movie that in Terminator 2 he learns the value of human life, and he does form a genuine bond.
No value.
With
He learns an appreciation of human life. But at the end, when John was crying, he even rubbed a tear off his eyes. I'm trying to remember the exact line, but he said something along the lines of, "I understand now why you cry, but it's something I can never." Yeah, which means I can't feel the emotion. And he can't. He cannot feel emotion. He can maybe learn appreciation and respect, but he can't love Sarah. That's not something he can do.
At least start acting like a little bit more. That he tells me, he's got a thinking computer, so his programming can evolve slightly.
Slightly, but he doesn't have an emotion chip or anything.
I'm not expecting him to have a happy dance with Sarah at her wedding, where there's I'm not expecting that or something, or like this moment where he's laughing at a comedy and it's like that, but I don't know, a little something. Like, he can still be a little cold, but I don't know. But anyway, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just doing his thing, a little different. The funny moments with him where he gives a creepy smile, I understand the need for levity in a film, but really, it was unnecessary. I get it, it's funny moments with him, but it just didn't work. It wasn't, I kind of laughed, but right after I laughed, I'd be like, it doesn't feel like it fits. That's one of the problems with the film. I really don't feel like we feel the complete weight and drama of everything.
Of anything.
Matt Smith, who played the 11th Doctor in Doctor Who, he plays a character in this film, which if any of you have been reading the articles online lately, you already know what his character is. I don't think it's worth going into.
Well, the only thing I'll mention about him is that if you're a fan of Doctor Who, he's really underutilized in this movie. They have him in the movie, but he's barely in it, and it doesn't seem like there's much of a point to him being there, really. You could have cast anybody probably in that role.
Yeah. The special effects in here weren't bad. We have the return of the T-1000 Liquid Terminator, which looked pretty good in the movie. Which, that's the weird thing. It's so funny. You can go back and watch Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and the special effects for that still hold up very well today.
Well, see, that's part of the problem. And that's another huge issue with this movie, is that they're not showing you things in this movie you haven't seen already, minus maybe the John Connor element, which is kind of a frustrating element. But we're seeing all the same shit, even right down to some of the same scenes. You're not presenting us anything really fresh. It's like they're posing this as a fresh start. But really, there's nothing fresh in this movie. We're re-seeing all the same stuff visually. The visual effects are nothing you haven't seen already.
Yeah, like I said, the John Connor Terminator would be the next thing. He pretty much has all the abilities of the T-1000. He can shapeshift. Each cell of his body is like some kind of hyper-advanced metal or machine. So he's like the T-1000 instead of liquid. He's more like kind of like Sandman from Spider-Man. Little pieces of him. You can blast him, but they'll just kind of get back together.
It was.
It's a cool idea, but
it's all right. But it's nothing. It's nothing you haven't seen before in something else. There's so many comparisons to even other films visually in this film. We even talked about the Golden Gate Bridge sequence, where it's pretty much the Dark Knight, except this time we flipped the truck higher.
Yeah, there's a scene where they're driving. You've probably seen it in the trailers, where they're driving a bus, and the bus, he pulls out. I'm not sure what it was, like the drive shaft or something, and the bus goes flying 200 feet in the air, and I'm just like, I don't really believe it'll go that far in the air. I could believe it'd flip over, but I don't believe it'll go that far fucking in the air. I guess maybe I'm nitpicking because this is an action movie and there's certain laws of physics you have to suspend a bit. But
I'll forgive it for that. But the one thing I'll say about that sequence, the Golden Gate Bridge sequence, actually I think that was the best one in the film. There's really not a lot of action scenes in this movie that are really that memorable. It's just mostly just punching, hitting, and stuff. It's stuff you've seen in the series before. The helicopter sequence, I know we both had opinions about also.
There's this helicopter chase sequence.
Physics went right out the goddamn window.
Yeah, that's the thing with CGI. The blessing of CGI is there's almost... There really isn't anything you can't put on the screen nowadays. But the curse of CGI is, it doesn't seem realistic. You know, like, back in the day before CGI was so dominant, if you wanted a helicopter chase scene, you had to actually have two people go up in a helicopter or fly it around and all and do stuff, and it's more believable. Could they do as many incredible, like, spins and turns and twists and flying upside down? No, but it's like, it's real because it's a fucking helicopter right there. With this, it's like, I don't know, the helicopter action scene was, there's a few times where they should have crashed, the frickin' thing is doing things they shouldn't be able to do, but whatever, I'm trying not to nitpick. Fuck, we grew up on Indiana Jones. How many fucking things happened in Indiana Jones that totally wouldn't have worked?
There's some level of verisimilitude to that, though.
Yeah. Except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, okay? There's a reason why nuke the fridge is now a phrase, okay? I draw the line at nukes, okay? I draw the line at nukes.
And there's a lot of nuke the fridge moments in this movie.
Yeah. Bad movie, okay movie, good movie, great movie, horrific movie. How would you describe this film?
I was dreading this movie beyond belief. I even told Vincent that if we saw it, I'd have to get drunk first.
Yeah.
To sit through it.
He actually, several months ago when we were talking about upcoming movies that we were going to review, he said that you were considering not seeing this film at all because of how much they were revealing and how much it was going to disrespect the previous films.
Yeah, I was heavily against this movie.
Yeah.
And I did go into it expecting to absolutely hate it with a passion. And instead, it's almost worse. Because the feeling I have leaving it is incredibly meh. Just almost indifferent rather than hate. It's just incredibly indifferent. It's like, it didn't really do anything for me. It was... there's moments I hated. There's moments I despised, because they do literally piss all over moments of my childhood. But... even the moments that are disconnected from the original films that are, new sequences or whatever, all of them are just meh, like the helicopter thing. Meh. The Golden Gate Bridge, that was kind of cool when the bus was hanging over the edge and everything. That was kind of cool, but again, nothing that stands out really. So even looking at this objectively and fresh, I still just don't think, it seems like, why pay for it? Just watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's not iconic. There's no scene that will go down in cinema history as, wow, that was iconic. It's just serviceable. It's your typical summer blockbuster, but it never steps beyond the absolute surface level of that. For a film that advertised itself to be a fresh start with new mission, new fate, it really had nothing new to say. It wanted it both ways with being new, but also depending so heavily on the nostalgia of the originals, and it fails at being a reboot because of this. It disrespects the originals by ripping them apart, but then reassembles the pieces in a way that is too familiar with what we've already seen. It was just a hot liquid metal mess.
For me, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I wouldn't call it horrible. I wouldn't call it great. It was okay. If you're a fan of the franchise, go check it out. I don't think you'll find it that impressive. I don't necessarily know if you'll find that horrible either. Trust me, it's got a problem. For one, a lot of unanswered questions that the only thing that makes sense is that they would save it for a possible sequel. Like, once again, who the hell sent the Terminator back to, like, raise Sarah Connor or protect her? There are certain things that just don't make sense that make me believe, like, there's a grander strategy going on that may be revealed in the sequel.
Talking about unanswered questions, how the hell did Kyle Reese survive getting hit by a car on the freeway after time traveling when he was traveling like 50 miles an hour? It smashed right into him. He took it like he was a fucking Terminator.
It's not the horror show that we thought it might be. So, but at the same time, it's not the grand epic that we wanted it to be. And I think that's all I really got left to say. Mike, anything else on your side, or?
Just unimpressed, man. Just like, meh.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for us. We hope you enjoyed the video. Leave us some comments down there. Tell us what you think. Agree, disagree. So maybe we missed something you think we should go over. If you like this video, click subscribe, because the more subscribers we get, the more videos we're going to do. Also, follow us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at nerds_review. And until next time, I'm Vincent.
And I am Mike.
And this is
Review the Nerds.
We'll be back.
Hasta la vista, baby.